friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Since I've moved to doing quarterly TBRs, it is time for another one. This is my fall TBR, so everything I'm planning to read through the end of 2024. I've really been enjoying doing these TBRs quarterly instead of monthly. I feel like it gives me a little more wiggle room. It gives you a broader idea of what I'm going to be reading over a full quarter of the year. I prefer it. It's been nice. So we've got a lot of books to cover. They're going to be in three main categories: book club books, books for review, and books from my 2024 challenge TBR that I have not yet read and I'm hoping to pick up by the end of the year. So let's go ahead and start with all of the books I'm reading for different book clubs. This includes Patreon and channel member book club. This includes the Mass Effect read along that I'm hosting. And this includes the final installment of the Blades and Bodice Rippers book club that we have for the year, which will be hosted on my channel. And of course, just as I start to film, we have Sirens. Welcome to New York, everyone. Let's start with book club for Patreon and channel members. One thing to note is that the poll for December is still running and it's kind of between two books. So I will tell you what both of them are. I'm not 100% which of them it's going to end up being. One of which I've read already and I didn't pull it, but I'll just put a picture here. Anyway. In October for book club, we're going to be reading An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, which I'm very excited about because I love Alexis Henderson's work. This is like a witchy, gothic, dark academia novel. I am so excited. I feel like this is perfect for October. It's giving me the vibes that I want. I love her writing. A student will find that the hardest lessons sometimes come from outside the classroom in this stunning dark academia novel. The messy thing about this is that she's maybe got a thing for her academic advisor. Yikes. So that should be interesting. That'll be our book club pick for October. I guess I didn't say I like to pick themes for every month of the year. So I'll do like a fun little like review at the end of the year because I like to review what we've done. But at the beginning of every year, I set a theme for each of the 12 months for book club, and then people will vote on a selection of books that fit the theme. So this was Dark Academia by a Black, Indigenous, or person of color author. Alexis Henderson is Black. For November, we were doing a memoir for Nonfiction November, and I'm really excited because the book that won is a graphic novel. This is They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. Really excited about this. I grew up watching Star Trek. I love George Takei, and this is about his time growing up as a Japanese child in internment camps in the United States. So I think it's going to be really good. I've heard good things. We're going to read that in November. Then for December, it is between a book I have already read, which would be a reread, and a book that I have not yet read. The theme for December was patrons pick a book that is a Goodreads Choice Awards winner. You know I love to thoroughly cover the Goodreads Choice Awards on this channel, and so I thought it would be fun to let patrons go back and look at all of the former winners from past years of the Goodreads Choice Awards and like pull some titles that they're interested in reading. So we got a lot of interesting ones, but we are down to the top two. I'm kind of hoping it's the one that I haven't read yet because I also would like to get to it by the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. So the two options are Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which is another dark academia. I wouldn't be opposed to this. I have read it before. I like it. I need to read Hellbent, and a reread wouldn't probably hurt before I got to that, so I would be fine with it. But the other option is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Everybody seems to love this book. Most people seem to love this book, and I finally picked it up, even though I did not like A River Enchanted, which was Rebecca Ross's previous book. I was not a fan of the writing, but I have heard from some people who didn't like that and liked this, they think I should give it a try. So this is a YA fantasy romance, I think. Enemies to lovers fantasy novel with young rival journalists who find love through a magical connection and must face the depths of hell in a war between the gods to seal their fate forever. It sounds interesting. I'm really curious to read it and see if I like it as much as everybody else does. Is it worth the hype? So that is possibly what we're going to be reading in December. We'll see where the poll lands. I think there's like 4 or 5 days left in it. Editing Bethany here. Wanted to clarify that these were not the only two options on the poll. We started with like 9 or 10 and then whittled it down to the top 5, but these are the two front runners, so they're the ones I think are going to win. For the Mass Effect read along, we've only got a couple more books to read this year. We are taking December off. So in October, we're reading A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. And in November, we are reading A Court of Frost and Starlight, reading the holiday novella in the holiday season as it should be read instead of when it came out in May. Because why? Anyway. We're gonna read those, and that will finish up our 2024 books for the read-along. Finally, for Blades and Bodice Rippers book club in October, we are going to be reading The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. This is like a sci-fi horror novel of some sort about somebody, like an astronaut or something, who gets trapped alone on a planet where she's doing mining or something. I don't know. I've heard good things about it. We're going to be dressing up as something spacey, astronauts or something of the sort. It's like very loose. We like to do fun dress-up things, but that'll be hosted in October on my channel, so look forward to that. Very exciting. Then I've got a whole bunch of books that I need to read for review, but before I get to those, I do have a couple other books that I would like to read by the end of the year, because I am nothing if not kind of competitive and like to finish things if I have a reason to. So every year I try to finish the Book of the Month reading challenge because you get a little prize. I think this year we're getting hats. Last year the prize was lame. It was like these little stuffed animal keychains. They were fine, I guess, whatever. But but I only need to read a few more books. I have 3 from them that I haven't yet read this year. So Divine Rivals is one of them. I also have 5 Broken Blades by Mike Corland, which I've gotten the audiobook of, and I've heard this is really good. It's a YA fantasy romance that also has a murder mystery assassin element to it. And then One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. I love Ruth Ware. I feel like these would be fun. So this would help me complete the 2024 Book of the Month challenge, so I would like to get to them if possible. We'll see what I can do. Moving on, let's talk about all the books that I have for review for the final quarter of the year. I'm gonna start with the books that I have physically, and then we'll talk about the books that I have on NetGalley. And what's kind of fun about this is that hopefully this puts some books on your radar that you weren't familiar with, upcoming releases that I haven't reviewed yet. I think there's only a couple of books on this list that are already out, and they came out in August. So I'm pretty on top of things when it comes to books I need to review. I try to be really good about it. So these are books on my radar that you can expect to see me reviewing in the coming quarter. And again, check them out if you're interested. One that did come out in August is Hers for the Weekend by Helena Greer. This is a contemporary sapphic romance. I really enjoy Helena Greer's writing, and I want to read this as well. The relationship is fake, but the feelings are real. I do love a fake dating romance, so I'm looking forward to that. Then we have The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. She's the author of The Bone Shard Daughter. I read the first one and I really liked it. I still haven't continued. I need to continue that trilogy. It is now finished, so that is something. But this is the start of a new series from her that looks pretty interesting. From one of the biggest new stars in epic fantasy comes a sweeping tale of warring gods, loyalty, betrayal, and a world in turmoil. So epic fantasy. This is out in September, and I have an early copy from Orbit. Very excited for that. This might be technically already out. I think it may have just come out as I'm filming this. Also from Orbit, we have Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This sounds really good. I hope it's as good as it sounds. A villainous heroine finds herself plunged into a seductive world of power, politics, and murder in the court of the Vampire King in this bloodthirsty debut from an unmissable new voice in fantasy romance. So it's like a dark vampire fantasy romance. The author, I think, is from the Philippines. Am I right about that? Let me see. Yeah, so the author is a queer Filipino-American, so I'm assuming there's going to be some queer things in this, so I'm looking forward to it. It sounds great. Excited to read that. Thank you to Orbit. Next, we have the latest book from one of my favorite authors, who is an auto-buy if I'm not very kindly sent a copy from the publisher. This is The City in Glass by Nevo. I love Nevo's writing. This is a shorter novel from her, and all I know about it is it has angels and demons. I love anything she writes. I'm very excited for this. I may have the opportunity to do an interview with her on this channel, so stay tuned for that. I need to see if I can finalize details, but really excited for this. I might even finish it by the end of September. We'll see. I want to read it soon, but that is on the list. Then we have Thirsty by Jazz Hammonds. This was sent to me from Fierce Reads, I think. Running Brook Press. Yeah, Macmillan. So I think this must have been sent to me from Fierce Reads. It's the summer before college, and 18-year-old Blake and her girlfriend Ella have one goal: join the mysterious and exclusive Serena Society. So it's like a sapphic YA thriller with the secret society sorority thing. Very excited about that. It sounds cool. And the final physical book that I have for review is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This looks great. It's a debut YA psychological horror that is gay, and I love the cover. Very excited to read that, also from Fierce Reads. And I guess I should say, I think this comes out in September. Mistress of Lies, I think, is also a September release, and then this one goes on sale in October, as does The City in Glass, early October. Okay. All right, let's move on to my ebooks. These videos are always so long because I'm doing a whole quarter's worth of TBR instead of like 1 month. Okay, let's see. What's next? On audio, I have American Rapture by CJ Lead. This is coming out at the beginning of October, I believe, and it looks really interesting. I've been wanting to try this author. This is like a queer horror novel with religious elements to it. I think you can tell from the cover. I don't know too much about it, but it kind of hit some of my keywords and I was interested, so I grabbed that. The Crimson Crown by Heather Walter. This is the one other August release I have not yet picked up, but I want to. I've been waiting to get the audiobook from my library because it's really long and I don't like reading long ebooks. I have it the eARC for review, but I love Heather Walter. I really liked the Malice duology, and this one is a take on the evil queen from Snow White, but make it sapphic. And, you know, that's fun. I like a sapphic villainous heroine. We're gonna read that. Next is Whenever You're Ready by Rachel Runya Katz. This is a sapphic contemporary romance, I believe by a Jewish author, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks good. This was probably the cover looked interesting, and I was like, yes, sure, I'll read that. This one comes out in September. Next, for some books coming out in October, we've got The Bitter End by Alexa Dunn. I am mutuals and friends with Alexa, but I love her books, and this is her latest YA thriller. It, I think, is like a murder mystery with a bunch of high schoolers trapped on a mountain. I think it's like a ski resort thing. Am I right? Okay, let me check. Am I right about this? Are they high schoolers or are they in college? I don't know. Let me see. A winter storm traps 8 teens in a remote ski cabin, and they find themselves stranded with a killer who may be one of their own. Sounds good. Very excited for that. Next, I've got Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. Yet another sapphic contemporary romance, but this is a holiday romance. Ashley Herring Blake wrote Delilah Green and all of those books. I love her romances, and this one, I love the cover. Have I read what it's about? No. I just saw Ashley Herring Blake, sapphic holiday romance. Sign me up. That sounds fun. Next, we have Soulless by Paula Mendoza and Abby Sher. This is the sequel to a book I read a couple years ago and really enjoyed. It was kind of a dystopian, near future YA thriller that is dealing with immigration and racism in the United States. I don't know what's going to happen in the second book, but I remember really liking the first one, so I decided to grab this one. That, I think, is also an October release. Then we have some November releases. First up is Streetlight People by Charlene Thomas. Let me look this up. I don't remember what this one was about. Oh yeah, as I'm reading this, I'm like, yes, this is why I requested it. A little bit Twin Peaks, a little bit Black Mirror, Streetlight People is a story of growing up in and out of a small town with a huge secret. Love it. There's an exclusive social club. Like, this is, again, it's hitting all the buzzwords that I like. I think this one is YA, so it looks fun. Then on audio, I have I Am the Dark That Answers When You Call by Jamison Shea. This is the second book in what I think is going to be a duology that is YA horror dealing with the world of ballet, and I really liked the first one a lot. It was great, so I'm going to be reading the second one as well. The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is a cozy fantasy. I do love a good cozy fantasy. A wandering fortune teller finds an unexpected family in this warm and wonderful debut fantasy, perfect for readers of Travis Baldree and Sangu Mandana. Love that. Again, hitting some buzzwords for me. I'm excited to pick this up. And then lastly for review, I've got The Davenports More Than This by Crystal Marquis. This is the second book in what is, I think, a duology. This is YA historical fiction. It's loosely based on a real period of time in a real Black family, but it's sort of like Bridgerton meets Gossip Girl in like early 1900s Chicago, something like that. I really liked the first one. It was messy and fun, and I am looking forward to the second one. So those are all the books that I have for review. The final set of books that I'm going to try to read, if I can get to, I don't think I'm gonna get to all of them, but I'm gonna do my darndest and see what I can do. These are all the books that I have left on my challenge TBRs for the year that I set at the beginning of the year. There's always books left over. First up, we've got 2 books on my nonfiction TBR, and actually one of these is a rollover from last year, so I really should read it this year. That is Killing Rage, Ending Racism by Bell Hooks. I have been meaning to read Bell Hooks. The thing is, this is not on audio. I like nonfiction on audio, and I think when I bought it, I assumed it would be. It is not, so I keep not picking it up, and I need to. It's a series of essays written from a Black feminist perspective, tackling the bitter difficulties of racism by envisioning a world without it. I'm sure it's great. I do want to read that. That is on my nonfiction list. The other book I haven't read yet is Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, another essay collection by a Black feminist author. I love Roxane Gay. I've read a few things from her, and I would like to continue to read her books. So those are the 2 remaining books out of 6 on my nonfiction TBR, my official TBR. Then I've got 2 of my classics left to read, and one of them is very short. I should just sit down and read it because it will not take me very long, but that is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's such a pretty edition, and I have been meaning to read this because I haven't. I feel like a lot of people read this early in life. I have not. It's very short, so I think it'll be fine. And then lastly, I've got The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. So this is actually not just The Turn of the Screw. The Turn of the Screw is a short story. So technically I could read that very quickly, but if I want to read the whole volume, this is a collection of other ghost stories by Henry James, which I would also like to read. So I'm gonna try to get to that. So those are the 2 books on my classics TBR. Lastly, I started the year with 10 series that I officially wanted to complete this year for my challenge TBR, and I have 3 series left to finish that I have not yet read. So here are the 3 series I need to complete. First is another one I keep putting off because there is no audiobook. The whole rest of the series has audiobooks except for the last book. I hate it when they do this. This is Requiem of Silence by Elle Penelope. It is the final book in this really great fantasy romance series. I loved the first 3 books and I do want to read it. I need to just sit down and do it. It's just really long. It's like 550 pages and there's no audiobook, and I'm bad about picking up long books when I don't have them on audio these days because things are so busy, but I am sure I would enjoy it, so I need to just do it. Then we have the last 2 books of N.K. Jemison's work that I have not yet read. I love N.K. Jemisin. She is another one of my all-time favorite authors. She has written my favorite series of all time, and I'm gonna be so sad when I have nothing left of hers to read, but alas, it must happen. I need to finish the Inheritance trilogy, so I've got The Broken Kingdoms, which I accidentally bought this on Pango. I didn't realize it was the mass market size. I have on my way to me, however, this one, because I want the whole series in this edition. They changed the covers, I've been looking for them, so I finally have it, and then I can pass this on, which is exciting. But yeah, that, and then The Kingdom of Gods, also by N.K. Jemisin. Those are 2 I need to finish. And then finally, as if that wasn't enough, why did I put this off till the end of the year? Oh my god. Y'all, I need to finish the rest of the Dandelion Dynasty series by Ken Liu. These are very large fantasy tomes. There are 3 of them. I've only read the first one. This is maybe ambitious. So will I get to all of those books on my challenge TBR? That seems unlikely, but we'll see. I'm gonna try. Maybe I'll surprise myself. These I can get on audio, so it may actually be fine. I really liked the first one and I want to keep going with them, but I'm gonna do my best. So there you go. Those are the books that are officially on my TBR for fall of 2024. All the books that I'm hoping to finish by the end of the year. Wish me luck. We'll see how this goes. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for question of the day, let me know, what are your fall reading plans? Do you have an ambitious TBR? Are you trying to take it easy? Let me know how you're approaching this in the comments below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.